Welcome to today's episode where we explore unique challenges faced by mompreneurs. I'm your host, Dr. Sharon Barnes, and I am joined today by Dr. Susie Mierzwik. I'm so happy to have you here. I'm going to just call you Dr. Susie,
That's it. That's it.
but I'm so happy. Welcome to the show, Dr. Susie.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sharon. I'm excited to be on your platform.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited to have you here. Now, as a mompreneur yourself, what inspired you to focus on health and wellness, especially for mompreneurs and people in our demographic?
Well, you know what I found, Sharon, is that as women, we put ourselves last. We always are doing everything for our husbands, our kids. If we're older, our grandkids. If we still have them, our parents-in-law. So we have so many other people in the family that we're focusing on. Who gets put last behind the line? It's usually us, right? And
Exactly.
I noticed when I was a young mom, it's very hard to get time for yourself. But
Exactly.
myself, I was diagnosed with osteoporosis when I was 40.
Really?
This was a pretty shocking diagnosis to be that young,
Yes.
but I had actually had another health crisis when I first had my baby,
Mm.
years
Hmm.
ago, and I was in the hospital for 3 weeks. I didn't have anybody to take care of her because my husband was in the service. They wouldn't give him any time off. I didn't have any relatives. So, you know what? My go-to was I prayed to God. I said, God, their situation is bigger than me. What can I do? You got to send me somebody. And I'll tell you, God answered my prayer. He
Amen.
sent me a mom I did not know from Adam, who from my church that volunteered to take care of my newborn baby for
Wow.
3 weeks while I was hospitalized. So that was a message to me. You got to look to God for whatever crisis you're in life. And that's kind of been my path throughout the other, crises that I have navigated.
Wow, that is so awesome. It's so relatable, I mean, and just to see the power of God, the answer of prayer. There's so much you put into that, that response there. I'm sure so many people as that can relate to that. What are some of the, like you was talking about the physical challenges, the mompreneur space? You want to expound on that a little bit more?
Sure. And you know what? Besides having a spiritual focus so that you don't feel lost in your situation, I think the other thing is most moms don't feel like they deserve to have any time. I'm talking about even 30 minutes a day to close the door, have a bath, have a shower, take a little cat nap, something, even walk around the block. But as moms, we feel guilty, like, oh, I should be helping him with the homework. I should be fixing dinner. I should be doing the laundry. And then if you got a business, you got to make sure that that's still running. So we put ourselves on the back burner, and what tends to happen? So our health breaks down, right? We
Right.
break down. We've got this condition or that condition, and nobody to help us.
Yeah.
So I try to encourage moms to give themselves permission to take at least 30 minutes a day. Whether you're walking around the block, you're walking on the treadmill, you're walking the dog, you're walking the baby with a carriage. At least you're getting a little bit of exercise, a little bit of self-care. If you're sick, don't wait until, you got 105 temperature to check in with your doctor. If something is you feel is not quite right, give as much care to your own care as you do for your family, your kids, your parents, and everybody else.
Exactly. I mean, and that's so alarming, like you said, that we do that, and we see that all the time. And, we start talking about that from the physical health side and breakdown and taking, activities to help with the physical, but it's so closely tied to mental health. So can you
Yes,
just talk a little bit more about the mental health, how
certainly.
it's
Yeah,
combined?
because it all ties in with our mindset. First of all, we have to feel worthy of worthy, just basically, we're worthy, we are enough. You know,
Yeah,
God has given this position in life where we have a family, we have a career, we have things that we got to accomplish, but it all starts with us. We have to feel that we deserve to feel good, to feel healthy, to feel rested, to feel well. And if we don't take some basic steps every day, or at some point or other, the crisis is going to happen and then things break down. And then we don't know where we're going to turn, right?
yeah.
But at least if you can carve out 30 minutes a day, I know when I was a young mom, I would put my daughter in the baby carriage and go around the parking lot like 6 times to get a little bit of exercise, right?
Exactly.
And then when she was older, I put her on the back of the bike in that little baby seat and I would ride my bike, you know?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then a little bit older, I joined a gym and they had a nursery in there, so she could be safe and playing while
Right,
I was working out for 30 minutes. But you
right.
just have to, and if you need to cooperate with another mom and share the babysitting situation or whatever, because you deserve to stay healthy, because who's going to
Right.
take care of your family when you can't?
Exactly. Exactly. And that is really great information you just shared there. And I was just reflecting on talking to you, getting prepared for this. You were saying I have to plan my day. And so you've given us certain strategies that we need to like employ, but talk a little bit more about the strategies that work and how mompreneurs can plan their day around the activities and responsibilities they have. Just give us a little bit more of how you make it work and what you've seen work for mompreneurs.
Right. Well, so once your kids are school age, what happens? You typically pick them up and then you drop them off at baseball, dancing, soccer, karate, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, or whatever else, right? And you're on this
Right,
constant treadmill. Well, if you have that 20 minutes or 30 minutes, you can use that to walk around the block or walk around the park or do something for yourself, or even put on your phone and listen to a podcast, meditation, a Bible study, something where you can feed your soul while you're walking around on your 20 minutes or 30 minutes a day, because your kids are safely at whatever activity they're at. So you don't have to sit in your car, for 45, 50 minutes. You could be taking a little self time,
right.
you
Right.
know?
And yeah, and that's really important. And it's just as you're speaking, it's like everything is so interacted and interconnected, the physical, the mental, the self-care. And sometimes as mompreneurs sitting in the car, taking that breath might be like you think that's great. But what you're saying, let's push and do a little bit more. So let's talk
Right.
about some other things beyond the physical, mental type of activities that we need to incorporate into our day. Talk a little bit more about the self-care, maybe some of the pampering, maybe some of the how the gym now can become a day spa or something for.
Yeah, and
So talk a
that's
little bit more
important.
about self-care.
Yeah, well, self-care is something that I know we as women never do. I know when I was married, I never got my nails done. I never got a massage. I never did any of that stuff. But after I was divorced, I gave myself permission to get my nails done. I gave myself permission to make an appointment with a therapist. I gave myself
Mm,
permission to have a Bible study once a week. You
wow.
know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because part of it is mental. We don't think we deserve the time. We're feeling
Exactly.
guilty because, oh, I should be, doing the laundry or, making about a pot of spaghetti for the team or doing something for somebody else. And then at some point we go like, oh, I'm all done. I'm shot, right? You don't have anything to feed yourself. You feed your spirit. Even meeting with other moms to
Right.
share some time together, share some struggles, some strategies, some challenges, right? Because
Right.
otherwise we feel like we're all alone. Everybody's floating along fine and dandy, and we feel like we're drowning.
Yeah. That connection with other mompreneurs is critical, to our success for the overall health. And like you said, you draw on that energy and, because it can be isolating,
Yes.
being the primary caregiver, being
Hmm.
the business owner. And if you're not blessed enough to have, even a partner in the struggle, you have to
Hmm.
create that tribe, that village outside. And
That's right.
I think we've seen that a little
Hmm.
bit with the what do you call the play dates? Play
Hmm.
dates not only
That's
for the
right.
kids, but it
I
also
think it's
brings
more
parents
important for the
together.
moms than the kids, right?
Exactly. Play dates are like, so we have to take, and I think with mompreneurs, a lot of times we have to take the tasks and activities that are part of our responsibility and carve out the joy in there, or, make sure that we, enjoy the moment to be pleasant.
Right.
Mixing business with
Hmm.
pleasure when it keeps
Right.
us healthy, I think is a
Yes.
good thing. So,
Because it lifts up our spirit, right?
right,
I knew when I was divorced and I didn't have any family nearby, my husband, had split. I looked for a group that I could connect with. So I found a Bible study where they could lift
right,
me up every week. I
right,
looked for a recovery group where they could lift me up and I could let down my defenses and share my fears, my worries, my crying and all that in a
right.
safe space so you don't like feel like you're going to explode.
Exactly, exactly. And I know that you're very on the health and wellness, that you lean a lot towards the holistic or arterial medication. We have so much technology out there. We have devices, we have holistic vitamins and different things like that. But, sometimes mompreneurs struggle to find something other than medication, okay, to put in their body to help with this journey on mental, physical, and overall wellness. So,
Hmm.
do you have anything you want to share with us along those lines too about how to
Yes.
explore?
Certainly. And you know what? A part of a part of my journey when I found out that I was um, a person that had osteoporosis when I was 40 and I had a lot of back pain. So after going to a couple of doctors and all this and that, I started to carve out 30 minutes a day for walking,
Mm,
and that helped. Sometimes I took the dog while my kids were at after school, practice. Sometimes I
right.
just walked by myself. But I also investigated other modalities because nowadays there are a lot of other strategies. It's not just about pills. And
Right.
I know myself, I had struggled with arthritis for many years and I got all the pills and potions and all that, but never really resolved anything until I found a little technology, which somebody introduced me to, and I was a teacher at the time, and she said, Susie, what's going on with your hands? And I said, oh, arthritis. I've had it for years, and besides the osteoporosis. And I tried all the medications, drugs, creams, and lotions and all that. Nothing was working. She goes, well, you got to try this little patch. So I thought, hey, I've already tried everything else. Why not try a patch? So lo and behold, I tried this technology where nothing goes in your body. It sends a little signal to your brain.
Mm,
In 30 days, my hands went from this to this.
wow. Full
That cleared
mobility.
it up. Complete mobility. And you know how I knew I originally was getting something? Because when I was clapping in church, my
Yes.
hands would hurt.
Wow.
At that time, I didn't know what was going on. But later, looking back, that's what was going on way before I had a clue. You see?
Wow.
So since I've discovered this, I've been able to help thousands of people get healthy without any drugs because we all have to keep going. We can't stop. Our race is not run. But if we can incorporate something along the way that helps us
Right.
stay active, stay out of pain, you know, helps with
Exactly.
stress relief, that's why it's rewarding.
Wow. Yeah, and I see you say quick drug-free pain relief over your head.
That's right. You can see it on my banner.
Yeah. That I mean, and sometimes when we go through those challenges, especially mompreneurs, that's what we're looking for, drug-free, holistic, medication and well, not medication, but holistic alternatives.
Solutions. I call them solutions.
Solutions. Yes, yes, just awesome. So, when we're struggling with these challenges, as you said, it's a mindset, as you mentioned. So, talk a little bit about more some exercises or something that we can do to address these challenges and these struggles we have in changing our mindset because,
Okay.
and it has to go from, subconscious to conscious to really make a difference.
You're right. And you know what? When I was struggling with all these different challenges in my life, I developed some strategies that I have come to know as the IOUs of survival, of thriving, of self-care. I call it the IOUs. And
Okay.
what they are is look in. So if we're having a struggle, whether it's, you're going through a divorce, you're going through a medical diagnosis, somebody in your family's passed away, you have financial challenges. Everybody has different bumps and challenges in life. First, you have to look into yourself. So I looked into myself and I said, what am I missing? What is going on? So I got myself to a counselor that could help me, guide me along my path because I knew I couldn't do it alone. I got myself to a divorce recovery group because that was my challenge. I needed people to come up beside me and help me walk through this chapter of life.
Right.
And I needed to find out what I didn't know about because sometimes we grow up without the knowledge to have healthy relationships. So
Right.
I was able to discover a lot of books, which I have incorporated in my book as a bibliography. So other people could share that. Then I realized you had to look out, and that's what you look in to see, well, what do I need, like take a self-assessment. Do I need physical support? Do I need emotional support? Do I need financial support? Do I need daycare support or whatever? Then you look out to appropriate sources that can help you. And it might not be your parents, it might not be the next door neighbor, it might not be anybody in your family, you see, but you've got to find a network that can hold you accountable to take care of yourself and guide you along your path, you see. And
That
then the last thing I found out, well, not last, but just in my three initials, IOU, the last thing is looking up. And it's
mm,
also the first thing. You look up to God because you feel like, God, I can't do this alone. I just feel like I'm going to crumble. The world's, cracking up behind me. I don't know where we're going tomorrow, but I know that you have a plan. And like in my own case, I prayed for 6 months that God would help my marriage heal. But, after 6 months of having everybody I knew pray, I was praying, and I saw that God wasn't making that happen. I said, you know what? God has another plan. So I thought of Jeremiah 29:11. I know the plans for you, said the Lord, to prosper you and not to harm you, to give you hope and a future. At
yes.
that point, I felt myself opening up to a new door because, the continuing on with the marriage door was broken. It was bolted, it was busted, it was burned up, but I felt myself walking through because I knew that God had a plan. I didn't have a clue what it was, but I knew it was a plan, and He had it since the beginning of time. I just had to pray that He would show me the way, and I used those three strategies: looking in, what can I change? Looking out, who can support me? And then looking up to God because He's going to guide me along that journey.
Wow, that is such an awesome testimony. Though I mean, I just get so excited. I mean, and that's the kind of insight and strategy that can really benefit mompreneurs and people as a whole, because sometimes we're going through and we have testimonies, but if we don't share them, if we don't give enough detail where someone can plug into them and relate to them,
Right.
it's almost like not really giving God the glory because you're holding back. But the
You're
way
exactly
you laid
right.
that out step by step and this
Hmm.
strategy, I just thank you for sharing that insight. And you held up that book. Can you give the actual title? And is it on
Yes.
Amazon?
And I also want to say that in each chapter, it starts out with a Bible verse. The
Okay.
first chapter of my book is called Shocking Homecoming.
Mm,
And the Bible verse I have is, all who rage against you will surely be ashamed and disgraced. Those who oppose you will be nothing and perish, from Isaiah. So in each chapter, I lead off with a Bible verse for people to cling to. And I also have a list of journal questions in each
okay.
chapter because
Okay.
we're all going through different challenges.
Exactly.
So, for instance, were there times when you felt treasured and special? Who were the people in your life that made you feel loved? How can you create more of these memories in your life today? I mean, just every chapter has reflective questions so the person can go like, huh, that's not just what happened to her. Because every woman I've met, like over the age of 25, she's gone through pitfalls,
Yeah.
many pitfalls, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But you don't want to curl up in a little corner and die. We've got a mission in life. We've got gifts to give to, those that we can influence. And we've got to look to God to help us get over all these humps and bumps and pitfalls, right?
Right. Right. Wow. That is awesome. The title of the book is
Sow in tears, reap in joy. And that's a biblical verse.
okay.
Sow in tears, reap in joy, a transformational memoir. And it is on Amazon.
Okay. All right.
So people can get it on Amazon. And also, it is available on my website. And on my website, I also share about the health technology that people can access. And I don't know if you have the ability to put that on your screen, but my
Yeah.
website is https:// Susie, Susie, which you can see on my screen,
Yes.
Mierzwik.com. So it's just
Okay.
https dot susiemierzwik.com, and you'll find my book available, as well as other books that I have contributed chapters to,
Okay.
and the Lifeway technology patches where people can check it out. And I have testimonials from clients, I have videos, I have podcasts. So there's a whole
Okay.
lot of information and resources that can be shared on my website. Oh, I
Uh,
also have a YouTube channel, Susie Mierzwik YouTube, so you can see a lot of my podcasts on that too.
okay. Thank you, Susie, so much for sharing. I mean, it's been a wealth of information. It was like when we got started, and we're going to cover all this in one session. And it's like you
Well,
you did such
you
an
asked, you
excellent
asked, and
job.
I delivered.
Yes, you did more up and beyond, up and beyond. And I'm sure that the listeners, the mompreneurs really benefited from this. They have resources they can reach out to and utilize. And do you have anything else you want to share? Because you mentioned journaling as part in the book, and
Yes.
you mentioned the IOU strategy. But
Hmm.
journaling, you want to talk a little bit more about
Yes, I
how that
would.
help mompreneurs?
Journaling is so important. And I found this out when I was a little girl. I came from a family that you weren't allowed to speak up, like sit down and shut up and don't talk and don't ask questions, and we won't tell you anything. Kind of like, children to be seen and not heard.
Yes.
And what that down is, it shut me down as a person. I didn't feel like I was an individual. Just had to follow the rules, be quiet, hush, stay under the carpet and so forth. So I did something back then I didn't even know was valuable, was writing in a little diary every day.
Right.
And believe it or not, I saved all these little diaries and journals as I got older till I have a big banker's box of diaries. So
Wow.
why is this important? Well, when I was going through my divorce, that was a very painful process. I also wrote in a journal. So writing in a journal is like talking to your best friend, and you might not have a person that you can share openly with, but you can get your feelings out on the page. You can cry your heart out on the page. And then you can, close the book and you go about your mom duties the rest of the day. And the next day, you unload yourself on the page. Doesn't have to make any sense. It can be completely crazy, but it's like letting the air out of a kettle so it doesn't explode.
Exactly.
You see?
Exactly.
So then you can go through the rest of your day, no matter where the pressures are, and the pressures are always building up until you think you're going to scream. But then if you go, "Oh," when the kids are in bed, I can sit down and write for 10 minutes, just unload everything, no matter what it is. Doesn't have to make sense. So then all those years later, during COVID, I actually opened up that box, which was like Pandora's box. What's going to be in there, right? And I discovered feelings that I had had as a little girl
Wow.
that I saw how it ill prepared me for being a wife with a voice so she could protect herself and her daughters because I wasn't raised that way. So then I was able to look back and say, wow, there's a lot of stuff I never knew about. I had to learn about in midlife, but that wasn't the end of my journey. Now I could go out and help other people because we're all having our struggles. They're just different kinds of struggles.
Yes. Wow. You are just so amazing.
Well, you know what? God's helped me. God's
Yes.
carried me through.
Yes.
And
Yes.
even to this day, I still get down and sad about things, but I
Right.
just remember, God, you carried me through everything else.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I just got to trust you.
Yes. Amen. I just, I mean, to be connected with my Christian sisters like you, and even when we met, it was a women's group that's faith-based, and the spirit in there, what God did for the businesses, for the mompreneurs in that room. We believe it's probably about 5 years
Right.
ago. I
Yes.
mean, he skyrocketed us from coming together and going, and so. And I really value you. I appreciate you for
Ah,
sharing all this insight with us and shedding light on things. We have to do it again because I know we just
certainly.
touched the surface. Just touched the
Yeah,
surface,
I'd
but
love to.
I'm just sure the mompreneurs and others that might come across this podcast will just really enjoy it and will reach out to you. So to our listeners, I want to thank you for tuning in, and remember that prioritizing health and wellness is key and essential to your success as a mompreneur and for your overall wellness. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye bye.
you. Bye.